Barakata Yahweh, Barakata Yahabushai, Bahasham, Brakahakodash, Barakatum. First and foremost, I want to give all praises, glory, and infinite honors to Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahabushai. Double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone who rule and teach well. And peace and salutations to you, sincere Akim out there, pushing this word in truth and sincerity to the four corners of the globe. May you brothers endure until the end. This is the brother Ra'aya with another video, and I'm going to start it off in Revelation chapter 13, verse 16. And he causeth all, that he, being the elite rulers of the planet right now, who are of the nation of Esau, Edom, or these so-called white people, such as the Rothschilds, the Rockefellers, the Gettys, the Massimos, the DuPonts, the Merovingians, you name it, both small and great, rich and poor, free and bond, to receive a Charagma in their right hand or in their foreheads. And the Charagma is the MARKOFTHEBEAST, the RFID/NFC, MICROCHIPIMPLANT. Verse 17, and that no man might buy or sell, save he that had the Charagma, or the name of the beast, or the number of his name. And we're coming into the times where the Charagma will be mandatorily implemented, and you won't be able to do anything in society without it. You'll be seen as a social pariah. You won't be able to buy or sell, get a job, travel abroad, etc., etc. And eventually, people will be faced with being put to death for not receiving the Charagma. And right now, we're in the build-up stage towards this eventual rollout and mandatory implementation of the Charagma. The elites are psychologically and subconsciously preparing you people for a cashless digital society. What do we see with this situation 1.9 that's been taking place over the past couple of years? A push for social distancing and contactless payments. You've got a lot of people now doing their payments on apps like Apple Pay, Venmo, or Cash App. A lot of restaurants now have QR codes on the tables to where you scan it to get the menu instead of physically using the menu. And at a time early on in the situation, you had a lot of authorities say that the situation could travel on physical currencies, so there was a need to take them out of circulation to stop the spread, so to speak. Again, just the powers that be psychologically preparing you people to deal with kiosks without checkout people, use your phones for payments with these cash pays, a social distance, all that. And now you've got a lot of these central banks all across the planet in these different countries beginning to roll out central bank digital currencies, which is just a stepping stone, another stepping stone towards the rollout of the Charagma. With the Cbdc, you won't have to worry about walking around with a credit card or a debit card or money in your wallet. You can just use your phone like you've been using it with these payment apps to make your purchases and to sell things. But then eventually, they're going to put these Cbdcs on these Charagmas. You won't even need the phone to do so. And that's what I'll be going into with this video. The first article I'll be going to is on zerohedge.com, and the title reads, CBDCs rising, Russia to use digital ruble in settlements with China. It has become a regular occurrence within the mainstream media these days to suggest that ties between Russia and China have been strained over the conflict in Ukraine, and that Russia may lose the support of its allies soon. In most cases, these reports are highly exaggerated and based on official comments that are taken completely out of context. After the recent meeting between Xi and Putin in Uzbekistan, very little was said by China in regard to Ukraine, other than some short and prefabricated appeals for peace and diplomacy. Such comments are generally made for the sake of international appearances and have no bearing on China's actual agreements with Russia. There is no break in the alliance. The CCP doesn't care about Ukraine. It cares about its own interests, and those interests include vast supplies of energy resources and other commodities purchased from Russia at a discount. By extension, Russian/Chinese trade relations have expanded greatly in the past several months alone, with bilateral deals that completely remove the US dollar as the world reserve. And that's another one of the main goals of rolling out these CBDCs, knocking the US dollar off as the world reserve currency, creating a basket of digital CBDCs from these different countries. However, the frenzy of new trade arrangements and financial exchanges may be obscuring a much more important and far-reaching event, which is the digitization of national currencies. And China has already rolled out the digital yuan. You've got the EU or European Union talking about rolling out a digital euro. You've got Russia with their digital ruble. And then in the US with Executive Order 1407, I believe, that's dealing with the US government putting all the pieces in play for the eventual rollout of a digital dollar, which is coming. What you have to remember is that at the top of these different governments, these leaders rub shoulders with the elites, and they're on board with their NW0 agenda, that GREATRESET, the Fourth Industrial Revolution, which pushes for the end of physical and fiat currency and the rollout of this digital cashless society with these CBDCs, which ultimately will be predicated upon people receiving the Charagma, and you won't be able to do anything in society without it. Again, back in Revelation 13, verse 17, that they may neither buy nor sell, save he that had the Charagma. According to Russian lawmaker Anatoly Aksakov, Russia is currently pursuing such programs. The topic of digital financial assets, the digital ruble, and cryptocurrencies is currently intensifying in society as Western countries are imposing sanctions and creating problems for bank transfers, including in international settlements. Aksakov said in an interview with Russia's parliamentary newspaper, "If we launch this, then other countries will begin to actively use it going forward, and America's control over the global financial system will effectively end," which is all by design. If we treat the Atlantic Council's CBDC, Central Bank Digital Currency Tracker, as a reliable reference, at least 100 countries around the world are now developing government-backed digital currencies, and he calls it all, with 11 countries already using them. Often, CBDC programs are associated more with Western central banks, and it is assumed that digital currency mechanisms are purely a goal for Western elites. This simply is not the case. Russia and China are both intimately tied to the International Monetary Fund, with China a large part of the SDR global currency program, and Russia's central bank appears to be operating directly in line with other banks in its development of CBDCs. While their digital efforts could be chalked up to necessity after the nation's removal from the SWIFT network, there are many central banks that are arguing in favor of digital mechanisms as a solution to economic crisis. This is how such vast changes to society are implemented without public input. It's all done to save us from disaster. And like I just said, at the top of these different governments globally, they all rub shoulders with the elites and are on board with rolling out their GREATRESET. This is Habakkuk chapter 2. I'm going to start at verse 4. "Behold, his soul, which is lifted up, is not upright in him," speaking of these Edomites. As it says in Psalms chapter 58, verse 3, "The wicked are estranged from the womb." And as it also says in Ecclesiastes, "Who can make that straight which the Most High has made crooked. The Most High created these Edomites to be completely contrary to the laws, statutes, and commandments of Yahweh Bahashem Yahweh Shai, the ways of righteousness. So they're pushing for this anti-Christ, anti-Hamashiach digital society, which is completely contrary to the ways of the Most High, and ultimately would lead to these elites of the Edomites being worshipped as God. But the just shall live by his faith. Hey, the righteous, the nation of Israel, more specifically the elect right now, who are doing everything they can to stay in the good graces of their power, Yahweh Bahashem Yahweh Shai, so they can be saved from the hour of temptation when it comes, and ultimately receive salvation, being the first fruits in the kingdom of heaven. Yeah, also because he transgresseth by wine, and that's talking about these different philosophies that he pushes out here, such as democracy, feminism, capitalism, socialism, communism, because all these different ideas out here, even though they may seem like they're opposed to each other, all goes back to being pushed by these elites to ultimately bring about their ultimate goal, that NW0, Hegelian dialectics. You create two opposing sides that you're in control of to fight each other to receive your ultimate goal at the end. A transhumanism is a part of that wine, getting people to get Charagma, stuff like that. He is a proud man, neither keepeth at home, who enlargeth his desire as hell, and is as death, and cannot be satisfied. Here these Edomites have the earth in their possession right now. As it says in Job chapter 9, verse 24, the earth is given into the hands of the wicked. They have more than their heart could desire, all the riches, but they still want more, instead of just sitting back and enjoying the fact that you've got the majority of the people on this planet going along with their system, with capitalism, democracy, using the US dollars, the world reserve currency, wanting to be so-called white, wear business suits and shave their faces. These elites of the Edomites want more. They want your very soul. They want to control every aspect of your life. They want this charagma in you so they can control whether you buy or sell, get a job, or do anything. If you want to go against the system, hey, we'll just cut your charagma off. You won't be able to hide your transactions anymore, since they'll all be on a blockchain. And this Edomite wants to even look into your mind and see your very thoughts, so he can see what you're thinking and what actions you're going to commit before you do it, and then punish you accordingly. Just think about that whole pre-crime thing from that movie Minority Report. This Edomite truly is the devil and Satan that the Bible speaks of, and is as death and cannot be satisfied, but gathereth unto him all nations, and heapeth unto him all people. And what does that sound like? Hey, a one world government, a one world order, one currency, one religion, one government, etc., etc. And it's always been in the spirit of these Edomites to bring about this, a one world government under their auspices. This is 1 Maccabees in the Apocrypha, chapter 1. I'm going to read verses 41 to 42. And this is dealing with the rulership of the Greeks under the Edomites. Moreover, King Antiochus, speaking of Antiochus IV Epiphanes, who was an Edomite, wrote to his whole kingdom that all should be one people, heapeth unto him all nations. What does it say back in there? But gathereth unto him all nations, and heapeth unto him all people. Moreover, King Antiochus wrote to his whole kingdom that all should be one people, and everyone should leave his laws. So all the heathen agreed according to the commandment of the king back then. Hey, since we're the ones in power right now, leave off from the ways of your forefathers and follow after the ways of the Greeks. Become Hellenized. No different today. Hey, leave off from the ways that you grew up with. We're coming under a new order, a one world government, a transhumanist government, a digital cashless society where you'll have a Charagma in you. The fast progression of so many governments towards a cashless society is disconcerting because it could remove the last vestiges of free trade and anonymity from common markets. Paper money might be fiat, but at least it's private. This is not the case with digital products of any kind. For now, Cbdc developments are mostly limited to international trade transactions and have not trickled down to the general population yet. Russia's use of a digital ruble sets the stage for a method of bypassing SWIFT-based networks and exchanging large sums of wealth in an instant. On the other hand, the notion that central banks in the US and Europe would be opposed to digital developments that cut out the dollar is fantasy, because again, at the top, these leaders rub shoulders with the elites, and they're on board with them gathering unto themselves all nations and heaping unto themselves all people, that they should leave the ways of their fathers and come unto these new ways, this new order. Almost all central banks appear to be on board for a massive global shift in the way money functions and how our economies operate, and this includes the Federal Reserve, and they know that this change would effectively end the dollar's reserve status. The question is, what will replace the dollar? The IMF has some ideas about that as they pursue a digital SDR mechanism. From the IMF's own website, a virtual SDR could facilitate the SDR's use in private transactions, creating a global cryptocurrency that could circulate along with national or regional cryptocurrencies backed by central banks. With geopolitical tensions rising to a fever pitch, the chaos may be the perfect smokescreen for such a financial reset. Order ab chaos, order out of chaos. To this article. Now I'm going to go to my second article on activistpost.com titled WEF, or the World Economic Forum, launches digital currency project to reward climate action. The World Economic Forum, WEF, made a big move in the digital currency space this week with the launch of the Crypto Sustainability Coalition. The coalition includes 30 different groups and institutions merged to investigate how to leverage Web3 tech like cryptocurrencies and blockchain to help the world become carbon neutral. An important and unique aspect of Web3 is that it uses technology to support and reward direct community engagement and action, said WEF head of digital assets, Brynjul Lear. The coalition will examine how to add carbon credits to the blockchain. Partners include Accenture, the Crypto Council for Innovation, Rainforest Partnership, the Sustainable Bitcoin Standard, Zero Labs, and others. And this is another route they're going to take to further implement CBDCs and this digital cashless society, and ultimately that Charagma. Hey, look, climate change is affecting society. We need to lower our carbon footprint. We need people to stop eating so much meat and stop using so much gas and driving around so much. How can we measure this? Hey, let's give people carbon credits. Let's put a Charagma in them, which is going to catalog all their purchases, how far they've traveled, everything like that. And if you've reached a limit on your carbon credits for that day, we're going to cut off your ability to use your funds. So you don't use any more energy than you need to, and then you just go and sit at the house and wait for your carbon credits to be activated again the next day, and you'll only be allowed to use your allotted amount. Hey, this devil is coming at every aspects to get this society locked down for his fourth industrial revolution, which, as I've been saying all throughout the video, is going to ultimately be implementing that Charagma. But to you sincere Akim and Akwath out there, you should know by now not to take the Charagma, because as it says in Revelation, let's get it. Revelation chapter 14, verses 9 to 10. And the third angel followed them, saying with a loud voice, if any man worship the beast and his image, the beast is the last leg of the fourth beast we're living in right now, as pursuant to Daniel chapter 2, those iron toes mixed with miry clay, the reincarnated Roman Empire, the NATO-EU alliance that the U.S. is a part of under these Edomites, and his image are the financial, political, and military aspects of this beast system, which that Charagma is going to be a major part of, and receive his Charagma in his forehead or in his hand, the same shall drink of the wine of the wrath of the Most High, which is poured out without mixture into the cup of his indignation. And he shall be tormented with fire and brimstone in the presence of the holy angels and in the presence of the Lamb, Yahushua HaMashiach, whom the world ignorantly refers to as so-called Jesus Christ. So to those that receive the Charagma, and we're only speaking to you Israelites because you're the only people we're concerned with. These heathen nations can get as many Charagmas as they want and get destroyed. But you so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans are the true children of Israel. To any of you that receive the Charagma, you're going to get tormented with that fire and brimstone, get burned up by these nuclear missiles when they begin to be shot to the ends of the earth during World War III, which is mainly going to take place after the mandatory implementation of the Charagma, or you're going to get burned up by that concentrated heat or those so-called laser beams from the chariots of the Most High, which people ignorantly refer to as so-called UFOs. And then when you're reborn into the kingdom of heaven, though you'll be under the new covenant and have the law, statutes, and commandments in you and be righteous, and you're still going to have that eternal memorial showing that you got weak and gave in to Esau Edom and his NW0 system and received his Charagma. But on the flip side, to you sincere Akim and Akwath that don't receive the Charagma, no matter what comes your way, if you're martyred for this truth, for a testimony to Yahweh Bahashem Yahushai, and you're going to be a automatic elect, and you're going to have that eternal memorial in the kingdom showing that you were strong and didn't give in to Esau Edom, but stood firm to your power, Yahweh Bahashem Yahushai. So that's it with this video. And with this video, I hope you sincere Akim and Akwath were edified. Just keep strong. As we can clearly see, we're almost out of this final wicked captivity of the heathen nations, chiefly of the Edomites. And as always, I'm going to say Abad Babal, Kwam Yasharala, and until next time, Shalom.